The recent crackdown against the Beijing Zion Church in China didn't end with the arrest and imprisonment of its leaders. Su Ziming, the wife and imprisoned Pastor Wang Lin, is banned from leaving China along with her children. The pastor's wife said she wants to leave China so she can provide her children with an education, something the Chinese Communist Party government has refused to provide for them. Here with more is Bob Fu. He's president of China Aid, a group that provides legal help and aid to persecuted Christians in China. Bob, first, just give us a brief summary for our viewers who are unfamiliar with what happened to the leaders of the Zion Church last month and why.
Thank you, Gary. Zion Church has been one of the largest urban house church network in 40 cities with over 100 churches, with 5,000 members and reached to over 100,000 Christians every day. And because of this rapid growth, the Chinese Communist Party, since October 9th, launched the most serious campaign against that church. Within 24 hours, over 30 of their senior leaders were rounded up in 9 provinces, and including the founder of the church, Pastor Ezra Jin, and the Pastor Wang Lin, as you just mentioned, who actually got a PhD from one of American universities and returned to China with 2 American-born American citizen children. And the human casualty, the price for religious freedom has been even intensified in recent days after those pastors were under criminal detention. As you mentioned, Pastor Wang Lin's wife and their 2 American citizen children were denied not only the education, but the freedom of movement and the freedom to travel to overseas. They were also under the travel ban by the Chinese Communist Party. Basically, they were denied everything. The children cannot be allowed to even go to school, and they are not even allowed to rent or even own the home. Whenever they did that, the public security officer would go and pressure the landlord and the owner of the home that they are about to even purchase. They were denied.
Bob, these are American citizens, these children. Why aren't we hearing more from the U.S. State Department or Donald Trump?
I think we need to hear more. We need our elected government officials, especially President Donald Trump, with a platform of American First. And these are 2 American citizens holding American passports. They are basically denied from even leaving China.
And Bob, doesn't the Constitution, the Chinese Constitution and law, guarantee education?
You're right, Gary. The Chinese government even had their own law and regulations claiming this children's education and even were compulsory and legitimately allowed. And yet the Zion Church children, and some even lost their homes because their parents or one of the parents were under criminal detention, and their bank accounts were frozen. So this is really the most serious religious persecution against the Chinese urban house church movement we have not seen since the Cultural Revolution nearly 50 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago that the Early Rain Covenant Church experienced similar treatment. So what can you tell us about Pastor Wang Yi?
Yes, Pastor Wang Yi was the founder of the Early Rain Covenant Church based in Chengdu City, and he was sentenced to 9 years imprisonment in 2020 after he preached a sermon based on John 3:16, publicly calling President Xi to repent for his repressive religious policy against God and ask him to accept Christ for salvation. And for that, he was accused of instigating the subversion of state power and received 9 years. And yet, Pastor Wang Yi still holds his faith very steadily and firmly and joyfully. And I was told in a recent visit, he was telling his family member that he has over 1,000 items of prayer requests, prayer items in his prison. He's praying for America, praying for the free world. And some of his church leaders under Early Rain Covenant Church has been under constant harassment and even administrative detention for simply holding their Sunday worship at their own homes. So Xi Jinping launched really the most severe persecution against house churches, and even the government-sanctioned churches had been under attack. Some members were even sentenced to 14 years imprisonment for simply refusing to take down the cross from the rooftop of their church building. So that tells how severely the persecution has been. And yet God has been good and faithful. I mean, the revival and church growth continue despite the persecution. And even in the middle of the persecution, we have seen Zion Church, Early Rain Covenant Church, they have never stopped worshiping God and in their church, in their homes, even since their church were formally banned and declared as illegal.
Okay, more persecution, more church growth. Bob Fu, president of China Aid. Thank you, Bob, for being with us to provide additional insights.
Thank you, Gary, for having me.